You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Good evening, I'm Bill Mulholland, and welcome to Good Sports Classics. Tonight we present part 2 of the wrestling careers of Cumberland High School's legendary wrestling coach Steve Gordon and his wife Judy. Steve Gordon was Cranston High School's 1959 Rhode Island State champion at 133 pounds and runner-up in the New Englands. In 1968, Steve started his 50-year career coaching wrestling at Cumberland High School, where he was selected 5 times as the Rhode Island Coach of the Year, mentoring 37 state champions and many New England champions, capturing 5 state titles and amassing 573 victories. Judy Gordon, a Pawtucket native, began her wrestling career when she married Steve in 1966, and the two have been inseparable ever since. Judy worked at Miriam Hospital as a nurse and served as the de facto medical advisor for 20 years for the Cumberland High School wrestling teams and at all the state tournaments. Judy was the director of the Cumberland Invitational Wrestling Tournament for decades, Wrestling USA Magazine's 2011 Coach's Wife of the Year, and is a member of the Cumberland High School Hall of Fame and the Rhode Island Interscholastic Wrestling Hall of Fame. Welcome back to Good Sports, Steve and Judy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. All right, now Steve, you told me before the show that wrestling was a unique sport. Explain.
Well, its uniqueness comes from the fact that aside from all the sports work out, they drill, they have to get in shape, they have all different kinds of exercise. The uniqueness comes in where wrestling, a lot of times a wrestler has to make weight. So by making weight, a lot of people come into the sport. A lot of times they say guys, now it's guys and girls, come into the sport. They want to cut down a weight class. They feel like they're going to be stronger at a lighter weight class. And chances are, usually they are. But sometimes it takes a little bit of dedication to make that particular weight, because at times they are going to have to skip a meal maybe. I mean, if they do things right the way we ask them to, it wouldn't be a problem. But kids are kids, and
of course,
they do not do things right. After they wrestle, after they make weight, they stuff a grinder or whatever they can down their throats and drink a gallon of water, because they might be thirsty, and then they start the whole process over again of making weight. But you know, so if I have 3 guys and they all weigh 145 pounds, well, one's going to wrestle 145, and they're all very good. One will wrestle 152, and the loser probably goes down. It goes down and wrestles the lower weight class, because you know, that's just the way it is. And so it is unique. You know, although a wrestling match is only 6 minutes, a regular match, you're pushing around somebody your own weight, and you're going 100% 6 minutes of the time. There's no rest, there's no downs, there's no timeouts. You can't take a timeout in wrestling. It doesn't happen, you know, unless it's an injury timeout.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty difficult sport for these kids.
And how long does that wrestling season last? From
Lasts
what point? Go ahead.
From Thanksgiving, the Monday after Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
till the first weekend in March. That's the New England.
That's a lot of time to go over and keep your weight at the same
They
amount.
have to keep their weight during Christmas. You know, a lot of kids, well, they eat at Thanksgiving, and then they start the process of trying to make weight.
Sure.
And making weight is difficult, but our practices, I mean, I've had kids in the school come by our practice room, they look in, they say, nah, I don't think I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
So there's a lot of discipline in the sport of wrestling, more than any other sport. So I can see where you could say it's a unique sport from anything else.
Very unique, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, Steve, talk about your interactions with the high school wrestling referees during your 50-year career. And Judy, jump right in with your perspective.
Well, I wouldn't say it was contentious. I mean, I would say that I am there to protect my wrestlers. And if I see something on the mat that I feel was wrong, or if the referee I felt made a bad call, I would let them know. And I never went to a match in 50 years.
Without what?
This is my rule
Right
book.
there.
Here it is, without my rule book.
Oh,
I carry this rule book with me every tournament, every wrestling match. It's always in my back pocket.
yeah?
Usually, this one has a cover, so I didn't throw it that much. But usually, a lot of times I would throw the thing. I'm
So
happy.
give me an example of when you would take that rule book out. So you saw, I'm your wrestler, something happened during the course, and the referee made a mistake, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been something as minor as, like in the referee's position, there's a certain way you have to get on the position. And if a referee says my kid's wrong on his position, he'll hold up a C, caution.
Okay.
And so you get a caution, then you get another caution, and then after that, it's 1 point every time you get a caution. And that could be for a false start or for an incorrect starting position. And sometimes a referee says, you can't put your foot across there. I said, well, I tend to disagree with you. You have to walk to the table, say, call the referee over, and the referee has to come to the
So
table.
they stopped the match at that point in time.
Yeah, I wouldn't stop the match, but it would be before they even blew the whistle. I
Okay.
would say, excuse, I would try to get his attention and say, you gave my kid a caution, but according to the rule book, he can put his foot over there. I show him the picture. He changes his mind and, takes the caution away and it goes. A lot of times, one thing you can't do is you cannot question a referee's call. Like, you can't question his judgment.
Okay.
So if, let's say there's an out of bounds call and I thought the kids were in bounds and he called them out of bounds, I have to keep my mouth shut, because if I question his judgment, they could hit me with misconduct. And in the rule book it says, if you go over to the table, the referee comes to the table, you discuss whatever rule you're trying to discuss. If the referee agrees with me, he'll change his call and go on with the match. If he doesn't agree with me, it's his right to hit me with misconduct for stopping the match, and he says I'm wrong and he's right. Well,
Okay.
I don't go to that table unless I'm pretty sure.
And
Okay.
if the ref saw Steve reach for his rule book,
Yeah.
you could see the look on his face going, oh, man.
Say, here we go.
I
Here we
better
go, yeah.
know what I'm talking about. I better have made the right call.
Yeah.
Because they knew that no matter what, he knows the rule book in and out. So it was kind of funny. And they would say that after.
And you would know the rule book, I would think, in and out also,
Right.
Judy, with 50 years of
Yeah.
being right there for every
Right.
single match.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your perspective sitting in Judy's seat? Now, talk about Judy's seat.
So it was, I always sort of went to the same seat for all those years, hard to believe. But, and Steve would look over and talk to me, and I would give him a look if he was getting too out of control with stuff. So we had that thing going, that magic between us
Yeah.
and the seat. And it would be funny because people they wouldn't sit there. Like I would come in, even if I was late, and that seat would be empty.
Yeah. And you wrestled in the basketball court arena? Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
where you? So
Yeah.
there wasn't a special wrestling
That's
room.
that's what we tell all the basketball players. The best thing about a basketball court is it supports the wrestling mat.
Okay, that works. All right, Steve and Judy, in part one, we traversed from 1959 to 1979. So let's delve into many of the teams and their accomplishments from 1980 to 2018.
Sure.
All right, so your 1981 wrestling squad finished second in the state with a 12-2 record, lost the New Englands by a half a point, and had two New England champions in Dan Charlin and Glenn Walsh.
That was quite a team we had. We didn't have the depth that we had back in '79 and '80. Those kids, some of those kids had graduated, but that '81 team, Dan Charlin and Glenn Walsh were three-time state champions. And, well, Danny was a three-time New England champion, and Glenn was a one-time New England champion, but he was also a cross-country state champion and New England champion.
Really?
The kid, yeah, he was quite outstanding. And another boy on that team, Wayne Hayter, was our state champion, and he probably would have been in the finals, but he got upset in the semis, but he came in third in the New Englands that year. So in scoring tournaments, back in those days, you didn't qualify. There was a lot of parity, and you didn't. A lot of teams were equal in abilities and things like that. And so the parity was like, if you brought four wrestlers to the New England tournament, top three in the state, you had a good chance of scoring well in that New England tournament. You could win the New England tournament with only four wrestlers. Now, they call it a team thing. Yeah, you know, is it a team thing?
Not like dual meets.
No, it's not like a dual meet state championship. That's a team state championship.
Yes.
And that's been talked about at the national level collegiately and as well as interscholastically. But so we had two New England champions and a third place finisher. And, you know, we just came up short by a half a point that year. But we did have a solid program, and
you had a good year there.
We had a very good year. Yeah.
Now, Steve, between 1982 and 1989, your teams had a composite losing record of 56 wins, 62 losses. So what happened during those lean years?
That's a good question. What happened was we were trying to get middle school wrestling. Coventry High School during that time won every state championship. They were almost impossible to beat, similarly the way Pontiac is today. But Coventry was the only school back then in those years that had a feeder program. They had youth wrestling, they had volunteers, and then they had middle school wrestling where kids wrestled in the middle school. And so those kids coming into the high school were already skilled and had a bit of wrestling under their belts, where we were getting kids as ninth graders, no clue what they were doing.
But Stephen, the first time you were here, you talked about you actually started a middle school wrestling squad, right?
Back in those days,
yes.
yeah.
So what happened to the squad? After you left, did it just go away?
Well, we weren't allowed to start that middle school wrestling until like later in the 80s. Later. So we didn't start it right away in the 70s. I taught middle school back in the 70s. So those kids, part of the phys ed class was they wrestled. Yeah. But that went away in the 80s. So we saw the problem. And we said, we've got to get these kids, we have to start growing our own wrestlers. It's hard to convert a basketball player, a hockey player that gets cut. It's hard to convert him to a wrestler and make him good right away as a ninth grader. It doesn't happen in wrestling. The skills, there's so many skills, so many things that you need to learn. And so we then began with Fred Smith and this boy Wayne Hayter. They started a youth wrestling program back in the mid-'80s. Yeah. And along with, and then we tried getting middle school wrestling, which we had said the first time I was here. We eventually got that into the program into the late 80s. And, you know, and then you could just see the development of the team getting better and better and better. I didn't have to start from, okay, this is a wrestling mat. That's the wrestling circle. I didn't have to go through that stuff.
Yeah, so rather than having to teach the sport, I mean, you could go over and coach the sport, right? Because they already had the fundamentals there.
Right.
Now, Judy, during those losing campaigns, you told Steve that he was not quitting until he got it right, quote unquote. Why did Steve need such a pep talk during those years?
Okay, so first of all, it was said it with a little bit of humor, but not really, because I think it would be so hard to go into practice every night, because at that time it was 7 days out of the week that he had practice.
6:30 to 9 at night.
Every night.
Oh.
And when you don't have a win and you're going in every day like that, that's hard. And I could see him getting down a bit. So I'm thinking, you know, there's so much more to wrestling than the win or the loss. There's so much more to it with the discipline and the caring and all those things that go into it, that you need to keep trying at this. You need to keep doing it, because it's so much more like with life lessons. What these kids, what you're giving to them, it's incredible. So I got him up a bit with that to go in and said, you got to keep going until you get it right. And guess what?
Away.
After 50 years, he got it right.
Well, starting in 1989, he started getting it right, and
Yeah.
then never lost it
Right.
from that point in time.
Yeah.
But it had to be difficult for you because all you knew was winning. Whether it was back in 1959, winning the state championship, the 1970s were good years, not incredible, but good years. You won a state championship in '79.
Yep.
So now that had to be tough for you. So you needed Judy to go over and give you that
Yeah,
pep talk.
give me
huh?
a heads up there.
Yeah.
I was getting a
Put it
little
in perspective.
down. You know, you get a little down and you have 13 kids on your wrestling team, and it's hard to get yourself up at 6:30 at night to go out in the middle of winter to practice. You know, I was getting a little bit tired of it, but she straightened me out.
Yeah. And the rest is history, right?
Yeah, really.
Now, Steve, you were the founder, and Judy was the director of the Northern Rhode Island Invitational Wrestling Tournament for decades.
Right.
So tell us about the genesis of the tournament that started in 1989.
Well, I was tired of getting beaten by Coventry constantly. You know, I mean, Coventry was the team to beat. Every tournament we went to, whether we had a good team or not that year, we ended up either second, third, fourth, whatever. Coventry was winning. So I said, well, you know something? There's nothing in this part of the state for a tournament. It's all down in Warwick and Coventry and those places. Let's start our own tournament. So that's exactly what we did. We got 8, 9 teams from the Northern Rhode Island, Johnston, Burrillville, Smithfield, Pontigansett, even King Philip Regional. They came, and you know, so we had our own little tournament, and that started coming along pretty well. You know, we started it there. It was called the Northern Rhode Island, and then as the 90s, we started getting the benefit of the youth program, and our middle school program coming in, and our team started to get very good.
Yes, they did.
So then I said, well, we got to expand the tournament a little bit. And we were still in the old gym at Cumberland High School, so we could only put in 2 mats. So I couldn't have more than like 10 teams, 11 max. And but we started getting teams that were some of the teams were not that strong, and we wanted to get better competition. So we changed the name. Instead of Northern Rhode Island, we made it the Cumberland Invitational. And then that started growing, and then of course we got the new physical education center, the fitness center at Cumberland High School.
At the same time,
They
right
call
around
it
that
the
time.
Wellness Center.
Yeah.
And we were able to fit 4 mats in there. So now I said, well, we've got to expand this tournament. And our teams were getting extremely good at this point. I mean, we were solid every year. Our programs were healthy. We had a lot of support from everybody, except from our administration. But we had a lot of support from the parents and people in the wrestling community. And so I started looking to try to get teams from out of state that we could not beat.
Okay, yeah. Play up, basically, you're talking about, right? You play up to another quality. And
absolutely.
even if you lose, you get better because you know what you need to do the next time.
I mean, that's the only way to get better is you have to wrestle better competition.
Yeah, Steve, how did you wrangle Judy to become the director of that tournament for decades? Well, Judy, let me ask you, how did he do that to you?
Well, it was just a matter of who's going to score. And then Steve had this big poster, and
before
we
computers.
would write down every single thing. I mean, when I look now and see all the computer stuff that does it, and not a person, it's still funny to me.
They had to write out every bout slip.
Yeah.
So instead of having it come up on a board, these two wrestlers are going to be on mat 3, we had individual slips. They came to the head table. I couldn't start writing bout slips. I had to coach the kids wrestling.
Yeah.
She was it.
And my daughters helped
and
at that
my
time.
daughters, and they were managers, and they wrote out bout slips.
But interesting that when we first started this, we would be asking teams, can you come, can you come? As it grew, people would be calling Steve to say, can we come to your tournament?
So it was an invitational, right?
So
you
it was
would
an
invite
invitational,
that.
But it was incredible.
Well, the tournament got extremely strong, and we had teams like Timberlane, Danbury, a bunch of Connecticut schools. Well, Danbury was Connecticut, but other Connecticut schools. There were some really strong programs that came to the tournament, and it became one of the best tournaments in New England.
Yeah. Now, Steve, from 1992 to 1995, your teams captured 4 consecutive Northern Rhode Island Invitational Tournament crowns. What did it mean to you and your wrestlers to win, the hometown tournament?
Well, we were excited, I always hated giving the trophy to somebody else. It was a pretty trophy, it was a nice trophy. And we weren't winning it. And then, like I say, as things started rolling along with our youth programs and everything, we just got better and better. And, we may not have had the most champions, but we had the most scorers in the tournament, So we might have 2 or 3 champions, but then we have 7, 8 guys placing top 4.
And when would this be held? Would this be held early in the season,
It was
mid-season?
held always the second Saturday of January. The first Saturday of January, I always went to Maine. There was a big tournament in Maine, and I saw some of the same teams that we saw up there wanted to come to our tournament the next week.
Okay.
So that was that.
All right. Now, Steve, there are 14 matches in a wrestling meet, correct?
Yeah.
So what is a good roster size, and do you have to make cuts on the team like some other sports?
Okay. I'm glad you... I never make a cut on a wrestling team. I would never, ever cut a student if we had... I like to think 30, 35 kids on a wrestling program, 40 even. That's a lot, but it's a good number because these kids, the 14 starters, need people to work with. They just can't work with the same guy all the time. You need a little variety in the practice, and so I think that's a good program. But I would never cut a kid, and I'm going to give you one story. It's we call it the Bubba story. It's my favorite wrestling story.
Okay.
All my 50 years. I had a boy come out for my team, and he was 5 feet. He was a black kid, 5 feet, 200 pounds.
What was his name?
His name was Brian Williamson.
Okay.
And Brian...
what did you think when you saw him come out?
I said, oh, man.
I should cut this guy, but I don't cut anybody, right?
He couldn't get out of his own way.
Right.
He was short. He was very heavy. But he came to every single practice. His sophomore year, well, he never won a match. His sophomore year...
But he had to wrestle as a heavyweight?
Yes, he did. He was the only one I had.
Really? So he was wrestling against monsters and beasts, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, his sophomore year, his mother, he got lifted up and drilled right onto his head. I came flying out of my chair because I thought he was hurt. And I see his mother get up and walk right out of the gym. And I go over to Bubba. I said, "You all right?" He said, "Yeah, I'm all right." I mean, the kid was tough. He couldn't handle the weight. He was just too heavy for his size.
Correct, yeah. So,
anyway,
yeah.
he suffered through that. He suffered through his junior year, never won a match until
And went to every practice.
he never missed a practice.
That's dedication.
Never
right?
missed a practice.
Get your butt beat every single time?
Yep.
Okay.
And still come back for more.
So what happened?
God, I don't know. I mean, we were wrestling for the league championship, the last match his junior season. And he wrestled a boy that pinned him in 30 seconds the first time they wrestled. And it was a throw, so they lock up top, and the kid threw him right to his back and pinned him. So when Bubba went out for the match, I said, well, we're tied. The score is tied. I see this kid walking out. He's a monster, muscles everywhere. Italian kid.
Last match of the meet.
Junior year, yeah. Last match of that meet.
Yeah.
and
Whoever
that
wins that.
wins the league championship.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
And I said, Bubba, whatever you do, don't lock up with him the first time he threw you. Okay, coach. What does he do? He locks up with the kid. And sure enough, the kid throws him. And he threw him so hard, they went out of the bounds. So I said, phew, he didn't get pinned. So now they come back. I said, Bubba, whatever you do, don't stand up and try to get away because the kid's just going to throw you again. What does he do? He stands up, gets away. The kid, you know, so they're wrestling around, and Cranston is screaming this kid's name, and the place is going crazy. And then I see the kid working on Bubba. He's trying to turn him over, but he's getting tired. And Bubba is just lying there on the mat trying to keep himself from going to his back. And then before you know it, he just pops up, stands up, and gets away. I said, oh, geez, he's going to get thrown again. They lock up, and this time, Bubba just launches this kid. He launched him right to his back. Now, the stands who were yelling, this kid, all the Cumberland people, because we had a ton of Cumberland people there,
yeah.
They start chanting Bubba, you know.
Yeah, sure.
They chant his name.
Yeah.
Bubba then went on. He was beating the kid 11-4 when he pinned him. So he just, and that was the turnaround for his whole career. Now, as a freshman, easily you could have said, hey, this kid's not going to make it. We came back, we went away for the summer, came back the senior year. I look up, I said, Bubba, is that you?
What?
He grew 6 inches, gained 40 pounds. He was 6'4", 260.
Now he's the beast.
Oh, he was.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah,
I can see that little tear in your eye there.
Well,
huh?
he that's just the way he is,
Yeah.
you know? I mean,
so what happened his senior year?
He was state champion, second in New England.
Wow.
Didn't lose a match until his
What a
last match in the
great
New England.
story.
Yep.
So you never know, right? So how do
don't
you use
know.
that example?
Huh?
I mean, so how did you use that example for the rest of your career?
Oh, are you kidding? I mean, I tell that story all the time to all the kids. I said, listen, you may get your butt kicked now. I probably didn't use that word.
Sure.
But you might get your butt kicked now, but hang with it, practice, learn your skills. You know, you're going to get taller, you're going to thin out. They're young kids when they come to the high school.
Steve, that was one of the best, in my 33 years of doing good sports, one of the best inspirational stories I have ever heard.
Well, it was one of the ones I've ever lived through.
Yeah.
Because it was real. I mean, this kid was like, I remember the New Englands, we went into the semifinals, and he had to, in the semifinals, he had to wrestle the returning New England champ. And as the kid walked by, I looked at Bubba and I said, boy, I'm glad you're wrestling him and not me.
And another thing is, his mother never did come to another match.
Never came.
Wow.
Never came.
All right, Steve, so it took you 25 years to win your second state championship in 2005,
Yep.
led by Shane Causey and Steve Goncalves.
That was probably one of the best teams I've ever had. And I've had some good teams. That year, we put 6 boys into the finals of the state tournament. We had that tournament won Saturday morning before the finals or before anything even happened.
Yeah.
It was just this group of kids came in. Causey was a Cranston boy who came in. Steve Goncalves never wrestled before as a freshman 4 years prior, and He ended up winning 2 state championships. Colin O'Brien, Dave Stoic, Jim Bridges, and Adam Wallowitz were all in the finals together. Adam Wallowitz was a baby at 280 pounds. He was a sophomore.
Yeah.
He made it to the finals. He got beat in the finals, but we just had a solid team there. It was a great team.
Yeah. And so starting with the 2005 team that you just talked about, for the next 8 years through 2012, you had 133 victories in 140 meets for a 95% win rate. And from 2008 to 2012, your teams went, I'm reading this right? 88-1 for a 98.9% win rate and captured 2 state titles. Congratulations.
Thank you. I was a little upset about that one loss, but
That is just total domination, Steve. So let's start with the 2008 season with the arrival of freshman Jerome Parent and the La Riviere twins, Chenille and Shade.
Shade. We call them Shy and Chenille, and Jaron Parent. They were our first 3, but they were not just the only 3 kids. On that team, there was Cameron Glad, an early Tommy LaCroix when he was like freshman or sophomore. Then we had a solid program. Ricky McCoy, Jared Cardoza. That was a team, again, like the 2005 team. They were solid. I mean, I didn't have a weak spot in the lineup.
Yeah.
And they may not have everyone didn't get to the finals, but every one of them scored. We had 11 scorers in the state tournament.
And you told me, so Parent and the twins were the first 3. So you started every single meet 18 to nothing, right? They pinned their opponents.
Kind of
what
fun.
an advantage.
Yeah. They were brutal.
Yeah?
They were brutal.
What made them so special?
They just, their skill level was, when they came to me, they were very good. And then with Parent wrestling, now Parent wasn't technically as good as they were to begin with. Parent got extremely good over the course of 4 years. And they were strong, they were athletic, they were fast, they knew their business, and they were in great shape. Yeah. If you're in good shape as a wrestler, that's 80% of your match. I mean, you can go into the 3rd period and not worry about breathing. You're in good shape to win. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I always tell my heavyweights that.
Yeah, and not so many times.
Not so many can do it,
right.
But if you got a heavyweight that's in great condition, he's a winner.
Yeah, and these guys were just little guys.
Oh, they were little guys.
Right?
Yeah,
but they were wrestling other little guys for the most part, right? Yeah.
They were just really, really good. 2-time state champions, both of the twins.
Yeah.
Parent was won the state championship as a junior. He lost in the finals as a senior to Mikey Myers, who was a 4-time state New England champion.
Okay.
So that was legit, you know?
Absolutely. Now, Steve, after winning the Rhode Island dual meet crowns in 2008 and 2009, you captured your 3rd state title in 2010 with a perfect 19-0 record. So how have the twins and Parent improved over the last 3 years? And then talk about some of the other notable wrestlers on that team.
On the 2012 team?
On the 2010 team, the 3rd state title that you had.
Oh yeah, that title, that was those kids. They just
now they're seniors.
They're seniors. Yep. Yeah, they were just about unbeatable. Now, unfortunately for Shy, he almost broke his ankle during practice the week of the state tournament. I had to pull him out of the state tournament. He placed, but he was hobbling terribly, and so we forfeited his match. And then in the New Englands, I tried to. He wanted to try to wrestle. I said, okay, as soon as I see a problem, you're out. And he couldn't even put any weight on the foot, so I just yanked him, and he wasn't too happy. But that's the way it goes. He had already won a New England championship going back a couple of years, and I mean, he was good. He understood it. Accidents, and injuries are a part of the sport.
Absolutely. Well, talk about Cameron Glad's match to win the state title.
Yeah, it seems
Talk
like
about Cameron Glad to begin with.
Well, here's a kid that he was with Parent, Ricky McCoy, the twins, those guys.
He came in as a freshman with them?
They came together.
What a
They
class.
all came together.
Was that the best class you've ever had collectively?
That's tricky. The 2005 team was brutal.
Okay.
They were close. Both those teams were extremely close. And but Cam Glad, we were wrestling Warwick Vets, and Warwick Vets had a super team that year, and it came down to whoever was going to win the 167-pound match. It was our guy Glad against the Warwick wrestler. I forget who it was, but whoever won that match was going to win the state championship. That was it. And so Cam says, "Hey, Coach, I am ready." There was no question in his mind that he wasn't going to win that match.
Had he been the previous state champion?
No.
Okay.
No,
all right.
never won it. And that kid beat him the first time.
Okay.
When they wrestled in a dual meet.
Yep.
I
What
said,
happened?
"Okay, go get him, Cam."
Yeah.
He did. He beat him pretty soundly. The score was 7-5, but it was a good 7-5. The kid scored a couple of points right at the end, but Cam had beaten him solidly the whole match. So that was pretty exciting match.
Absolutely.
Not quite as exciting as it's going to get, though.
Okay. So, Steve, in 2012, you ended that incredible 88-1 run with another perfect record of 16-0 and your 4th state crown. Tell us about it.
That was the one with Tommy LaCroix, correct?
Yes, correct.
That tournament, I had a good team that year, but I only had one finalist, and that happened to be my 220-pounder, Tom LaCroix. And I had a great team that year. Everybody was good. I actually had some other finalists. I had Max Carlston and some other kids there. But nobody made it to the finals except for this Tommy. And the score was tied. No, we were losing the tournament to Bishop Hendricken that year by 3 points. And so Tommy had to wrestle a boy from South Kingston. So if Tommy wins just by regular decision, we tie Bishop Hendricken for the state title.
Yeah.
However, you have bonus points. Remember, major decision, tech fall.
Yes.
So we're hoping, obviously, that Tommy can do something. But I told Tommy, I said, "Tom, just go out there and, I want you to win the match. I don't care about the tournament. If we tie him, we tie him. If we don't, we don't. You go out there and wrestle your match." So he goes out there and he's wrestling, and he's winning the match, but he's not getting a major decision. And the South Kingston boy wanted to win the match. And so in the third period, with like 30 seconds to go, he lets my guy get away, which then made the score, I believe it was 7-3, I don't know. He made the score such that if we got a takedown, we would have won by a major decision. We would have won by a decision of 8 points.
Or more. Yeah, got it.
Well, as soon as the South Kingston kid let my guy up, I looked over at the Hendricken coach, and he just went, "Oh my God, why did he do that?" Because we all knew when that kid let Tommy up, we knew Tom was going to get the takedown.
Yeah.
It was just no question about it. He went in there, took the kid down right away, and rode him out the rest of the match. He won by a major decision, which meant we beat Hendricken by 1 point.
1 point. Classic. Is that the one that you were talking
Oh,
about?
it was great. Yeah,
you got to
was a
save that one.
Great match. That was exciting. That was very exciting and very worthwhile. The kids worked hard for that. That was a team effort. That was a big team effort.
So you had that great run there. So, we haven't really talked about, so what happens, now you had 37 state champions, numerous New England champions. How about scholarships? I mean, did a lot of your guys go off to major universities, or did they continue wrestling, or how did that all work? We never really discussed that.
No, a lot of Rhode Island wrestlers, it's getting better now, but back in those days, if you came from Rhode Island, you were a state champion, a lot of the coaches would say, "So?"
Okay.
We have 32 teams wrestling in the state. You have a section in New York that's bigger, that has 50 teams in just one section, and they have 7 sections. I don't know how many sections in New York, but quite a few. And so a lot of times they didn't look at Rhode Island wrestlers as being very dominant. If you won the New Englands, well, then of course you have a little better chance to get it. But we were fortunate enough to, the Shalin boys both got full rides. Jeff Shalin ended up his career at Wisconsin, starting for the University of Wisconsin.
That's big time.
Danny Shalin wrestled, had a full ride to Boston University and wrestled for them all his career. I had another boy that went out to Colorado State and wrestled out there. And then we had a lot of Division II and III kids where they don't, Division III doesn't, they don't get scholarships.
Right.
So we had a lot of boys that wrestled there. And then a lot of kids just say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna.
4 years
I've
of
had
weight
it.
reduction and everything else.
I don't want to not eat anymore.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy myself. So they called it a career. As long as they had a great time with us, that was important to us.
Okay. And so, Judy, what made Steve so special among his wrestlers and throughout Rhode Island and New England among his fellow coaches? Now, you talked to me about that prior to the show.
So how much time do I have?
As much as you
Do
want.
I have a week?
As much as you want.
Everything about him is unique. I think, again, early on, I learned a big lesson from him. 2 kids would be wrestling, and they'd come off the mat, and our kid would have won. And I went, wow, isn't that great? And Steve would go, what? He wrestled awful. What are you talking about? The next match, I would go, the kid would lose. And I'd go, oh, why did he do that? Jude, he wrestled the best I've ever seen him wrestle.
Yeah.
So at that early point, that was way early in our experience, I learned a lot about who he is. And that it's not about the win or the loss, it's about how that boy wrestled. And that's one thing. Another thing is, I don't think that you find anybody that's more fair than Steve. Another thing is...
And how so? Give me an example.
He just treats everybody the same. He treats the wrestler that is outstanding, like one of the Shalins, as well as the
Bubba.
kid that's a freshman that just has come in. They're treated the same. I think a lot of coaches don't do that. You know, they give much more attention, much more everything to the boy that's winning. So that's pretty big. That's huge.
Yes.
The discipline stays the same, but with the discipline comes the caring. And the kids just feel it and they know it. He's like a magnet. They just get attracted to him. A boy would wrestle. He would lose. He would come off after losing, shake the hands and everything, and then want to sit right next to Steve. And I'd go, that's funny. Like, why would you want to sit next to him?
After you just lost. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but that's the kind of person that he is, that's what they want. And I think that tells a lot about him. People, we could be anywhere. We were in England once, and it's Mr. Gordon, Mr. Gordon. Like they would run someone over almost, knock a person down to get to him, just to shake hands with him and say.
When you're on vacation.
When we're on vacation, no matter where we go, there's always someone that's going to recognize him. You know something, Mr. Gordon? I remember what you said. You told me, and they'll go on to say something, and I will never forget it, and it's made such a difference in my life. That's where I go back to life lessons.
Absolutely.
Not the wins or the losses.
Yeah.
He's just special.
Okay, and how about among his coaches, among the fellow coaches also?
The refs and the coaches, I'll put them together for a minute.
Okay.
Because they both might get very upset with him, but they also have the highest degree of respect for him, which there's the important piece of it.
Yes.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. All right. So, Judy, we have a photo of the team managers coming up. What role did they play in the success of the teams throughout Steve's 50-year career coaching at Cumberland?
Yet another unique thing about Cumberland wrestling. The managers are treated just like the wrestlers are treated. They are part of a team. And when I heard you and Steve going back and forth of which team was this and what team was that, we've had years where the team, we had to work hard at getting them to be a team. There are other years that they were just a team. they came out as a team. You know, they did this Buttercup song, and they made that up. And our team would come out to, other teams come out to the theme of Rocky, and they come running out really hard.
Yeah.
Our team came out to Buttercup.
A funny story about the Buttercup.
Sure, absolutely.
One of my wrestlers came up.
So that's an old 60s, 70s, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, I know the song,
Buttercup.
absolutely, yeah.
Lift me up, Buttercup.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, my wrestler wanted to say, hey, yeah, we're going to come out to that. I said, what? You know, I left it up to the captains to whatever song they wanted to play, as long as there was no swearing in it, you could run out to the song. And so that was kind of funny. And then it started becoming, everybody was waiting for it, and everybody would start singing it when the team comes running out. And one day I was just driving home, and I was listening to a talk radio show, and this guy says, you know, I went to my son's wrestling match the other day, and this team, Cumberland team, they ran out to, I said, and they're playing this Buttercup song, and they're running out to, I said, what the heck kind of team is this? And then I watched them wrestle. That's why they played Buttercup.
Yeah.
That was during the time where we had one loss in 88 tries. And
Sure.
so he says, well, they can play Buttercup.
So you must have been laughing the whole time
I
when
was
this guy
laughing.
is talking, right?
And
I was
then
laughing.
we went to a wedding,
Yeah.
and the bride was a manager and the husband a wrestler. They met there, they got married. And what did they sing? You know, they came
And
out
they invited
to,
you?
Oh,
Of course.
Oh,
huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
And they played Buttercup at their wedding. And Tommy LaCroix, that we talked about,
Sure.
that won it, his wedding is this coming Saturday that we're going to.
Oh, nice.
So it's very special.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, Steve, your fifth and final state crown occurred in 2017 in your 49th year of coaching Cumberland wrestlers, led by seniors Jack Hayes, Noah Tugas, and Malik Sangari.
Again, this was a team that was just very, very solid. Everybody had, like Jack Hayes, nobody scored a point on him in the state tournament. He just ran through that tournament. Malik had lost, I think, 3 times to the boy he had to wrestle in the finals, and turned around and just hammered him. And Noah, he didn't get to the finals, but he came back for a 3rd place finish. And it's those kinds of things. And the rest of that team that we had that year, they all did the same thing. Once you go out of the championship bracket, if you get beaten, you have another chance. And if you keep winning in the consolation rounds, that just scores a whole ton of points. And that's how our teams, a lot of times, won the state championship. You know, we won a tournament by 1 point. I can't tell you how many times we've lost tournaments by that amount, and a New England tournament by a half a point.
Yeah.
I mean, those things happen. My whole philosophy, I wanted to be in the hunt. If we won it, that was great. But I wanted to be in the hunt where we had a chance to win, or a chance. I always felt like my teams were prepared and ready to go.
All right, in the state championship,
Yeah,
so is it a one-day affair?
2-day affair.
2-day. So
Yeah.
do you wrestle more than one match in a, what would be the highest number of
Well,
matches you need to wrestle?
Back in those days, you could only wrestle 5 times in one day. So you could wrestle 5 times. Oh,
in
yeah.
one day?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It's tough.
Yeah, I guess so.
And, you know, I mean, you could lose your first match, go into the wrestlebacks, and then, you know, you start your way back. Now, a lot of times that wouldn't happen. You usually wrestle 4 times. We've been to tournaments, not the state tournament, but we have been to tournaments that they try to do it in a day, and you have to forfeit your last match because you couldn't wrestle 6 times.
Okay.
And that was it.
Now, Steve, your last year coaching the Cumberland Wrestlers was in 2018, as you decided that 50 years sounded like a good number to retire on, and I agree with you on that one. Tell us about your farewell tour throughout the season, culminating with over 1,000 Gordon fans in the stands for your final meet at Cumberland.
That was pretty exciting and emotional for me.
Sure.
It was a long time. It's all we ever did in the winter was wrestle, and it's always been a family affair. Even my daughters, and we've always done that. And now it's going to be something that I'm not doing anymore. The teams that I visited on the away matches were really, really special and nice, and they would stop and say some nice things about me. And
So your first match was against Charahoe.
yeah, the Charahoe.
And what did
guy.
they do?
What did they do in
They
Charahoe?
made this whole, they
Oh,
got up and
they
talked.
made this
and-
whole thing about
yeah,
a talk.
Very nice.
South Kingston gave me a plaque.
Yeah.
Thank you for the 50 years of whatever, and,
Yeah.
you know, all that kind of. It was very, very good. And then our last match, after we won, they all held up 50 years signs, the entire
Oh,
stands.
cool.
It was neat. And,
Yeah. Now you had your granddaughter or great
oh,
granddaughter?
my granddaughter
Allie.
was graduate. She was my manager, and she was
For 4 years?
graduating. Oh
Was she
yeah,
there for-
oh
All of
gosh,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That was part of
That was
part of the deal.
of the Gordon family, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they both did it for 4 years, but
Yeah.
Allie was graduating in 2018. I thought that would be a great time. We could both go out together, you know.
Sure.
And so she came along with me. And listen, I was leaving a program that was extremely healthy. Bill, you could have won the state championship the next year with my team.
I don't know how to wrestle though.
And it didn't
You wouldn't
matter.
have to.
It wouldn't
No.
have- You
I
just
just
say,
have to
okay,
put the
go
numbers
ahead.
out there.
Right, that's
Really?
it.
Put those. Oh, they were outstanding.
So the cupboard was not bare for
No,
whoever
the
was
cupboard
taking
wasn't
over.
bad. 2019, they won their state championship.
So talk about your heavyweight Reuben Hancock in that final year for you.
He was my state champion, the only one I had. And that last year, we didn't win the state championship my last year. I think we came in third.
You had a 17-6 record. I mean, that's impressive.
It was a good record. That the 6 losses were out of state. A lot of them were out of state losses, where we couldn't. We go to Wantagh, New York, or some other place. They had some super teams out there, and you know, we did ourselves proud, but we didn't beat them. But Reuben was a surprise. He won the freshman state tournament. He won the JV state tournament. And then he said to me, Coach, I'm going to win the state tournament. And I said, yeah, okay, Reuben. And he did.
And he did.
You know, I mean, he was a tough kid, very, very strong, tough.
Now, Judy, on June 22nd, 2018, there was a retirement party for Steve at Wright's Farm, attended by over 500 people. What moved you and Steve the most at that party?
I think that many people care so much about the Cumberland wrestling and Steve, what he contributed to that and how he started it, and he was the only coach they ever had there. And you look in this room and you see all these people and the feeling they have for him, it was overwhelming. And I think our gift was that our family, Jenny and Andy and Molly and Allie and my son-in-laws, that it was such a family affair, and it was so special. Like, there's no words that can say how we felt about that night.
Yeah.
It was a great night.
It was such a
great
good
night.
run.
We had a lot of people there.
You saw some wrestlers that you hadn't seen in decades?
It was a
Since the
reunion.
70s.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We wanted to call it an R&R party, retirement reunion.
Yeah, okay,
We
and it
wanted-
was, right?
And it was.
And it was. That's exactly what it was. The governor came and spoke.
He's
Dan
a
McKee
Cumberland
is a
guy.
Cumberland guy, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
And it was just a great night all in all. I was very proud and it was very heartwarming.
Yeah. You know, did they give you anything as a going away gift, a trip to Hawaii?
Actually, what we did,
Yeah.
because people did donate, we said we want to make it something special. We're not travelers. We don't like to travel. I don't like jewelry. But what we did was they gave, with my daughter's help, a bench in front of Miriam Hospital.
Oh.
You know, we have that
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
there,
yeah.
and part of it. But it's
we
just
donated a
a
bench
special.
there, and
Yeah.
we had enough money left. We took a vacation
Yep.
and things like that. So that was about
Very
it.
special.
Yeah.
Okay. Judy, quickly, talk about the Sportsmanship Award given out each year to Cumberland wrestler.
So a boy could wrestle for 4 years and never wrestle in a varsity match. Hard to believe, isn't it?
Yes.
Right, but that's what could happen. And we thought, this kid contributes so much to the team. He comes to all the practices. He wrestled with the kid who's going out there to win, but he never has won a match. And we need to do something for him. So we got this in place. We got a trophy, and we would give this out at the banquet. The mother and father would be in tears. The kid wouldn't believe it.
Very
So
important.
it was a complete surprise, right?
The first
Right,
time,
right.
complete surprise.
You know, a lot of times this doesn't happen too much nowadays, but for a kid to keep wrestling when he's not starting, so it's a nice thing that the kids did.
Sure, absolutely. Steve, we have 1 minute remaining in the show. What was the most satisfying aspect of your 50-year career coaching wrestling at Cumberland High School?
Well, just the people that I've met over the course of the years, and this includes the wrestlers, the managers, the parents. We just had a great connection with all of them, and that's the important thing to me. The wins and losses, they come, they go. Championships come and go. But the people that you meet and the friends that you make, and that's what was special to us.
Yeah. Was it difficult to go over, and do you still go to the matches?
Everyone.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I try to work out with them every now and again when they let me. They say, Coach, you want to come in and do something, and I'll go in and teach.
Now, you and I were supposed to have a date to go over and see a wrestling match prior to the first. I would love sometime this winter.
Go to North Providence.
Yep, and just have you show me and tell me, sitting next to me, I'll be one of your students there.
There'll be a tutorial.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Steve and Judy, thank you for sharing your insights and perspectives on the last 40 years of coaching wrestling at Cumberland High School. It was an education for me, and will soon be again with you, and a pleasure to have you on Good Sports. Great job.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Tonight's show is dedicated to Central Falls native Adele Cooney, who passed away last week. I had the privilege to work with Adele for 29 years, from 1982 to 2011, when we both retired from the Pawtucket Parks and Recreation Department, and I was blessed to have Adele as a dear friend for the last 13 years. Adele was stunningly attractive, a real head-turner, but was even more beautiful internally. Adele made everyone she engaged with feel special in different ways for each individual. Adele was one of a kind and will be greatly missed by her family and friends. I'm Bill Mulholland for Good Sports Classics. Good night.